some people don't know their role. So I wanted to come out here and, I don't know, just set the record straight, because I felt like there are people that went out there and tried to assert their authority when they don't really have any. Because here's the thing, I really don't care where you sit. The answers come from one place and one place only, and right now you are looking at him.
Oh, WrestleMania 41, or should I say, Fumblemania. As solid as a large portion of this event was, with the triple threat main event from night one being one of the best matches of this entire year, ultimately this WrestleMania wasn't able to rise above its truly horrendous buildup. And as much as Triple H may want you to shut up and consume product, it is absolutely fair game, pun intended, to point out how lopsided and disorganized this road to WrestleMania truly was. All of WWE's poor planning came to a head in the main event of night two, when John Cena and Cody Rhodes' match for the WWE Championship inexplicably involved Travis Scott. As much as I love telekinesis and Fiend, Travis Scott was last seen at Elimination Chamber, when it really seemed like we were getting some kind of Hollywood stable with John Cena and The Rock, but that's not what happened. And this past week, we're finally getting some potential answers as to why. The Rock went on Pat McAfee's podcast immediately after WrestleMania 41, and in classic Rock fashion, he was there to do some damage control. After some corpo yapping, he finally got to the meat of the story.
I got a call about a month before Elimination Chamber. I get a call from Ari Emanuel, who we know owns TKO. TKO owns WWE. He's been my longtime business partner and one of my best friends for over 20 years. He said, we need help at Elimination Chamber. Ticket sales are a little slow.
There is just so much to talk about in the verbal nukes that he just laid down. Number one, Ari Emanuel is a greedy bastard. You want to know why the tickets for Elimination Chamber were slow to move, Ari? It's because you're pricing out families by making WWE tickets cost generational wealth. The demand for WWE's product right now is quite high, but not high enough to justify taking out a small loan and selling your left kidney. So of course, this entertainment executive's answer is, as usual with people in this kind of industry, a short-term, short-sighted swerve that doesn't address the real problem, but instead masks it with smoke and mirrors. And secondly, beyond Ari Emanuel's role, I want to know just who said The Rock needs to be inserted into this fucking angle. You could have just had the final boss cut one of his strange, esoteric, Lynchian rambling promos where he goes in and out of being a babyface and a heel, and sometimes in the same sentence. But a haphazard attempt to insert The Rock into a main event storyline on 2 weeks' notice that he has no intention of committing to, because this guy has the attention span of a fucking gnat? Yeah, great thinking, TKO. Just some great business moves right there. Kino, dimes, cinema. And what's even more ridiculous is when you hear The Rock's pitch.
We had a call, and I said, I have an idea. What's most important to the final boss? The most important thing to the final boss isn't titles, it's not money, it's not fame. Been there, done that, and grateful for that. Final boss wants your soul. Now we go into Elimination Chamber with this idea of, will Cody Rhodes sell his soul to the final boss? And my thought at that time, and you and I might have even talked, I know we talked about this, was it was a litmus test to find out, in my opinion, how will fans respond if Cody sold his soul to the final boss. Let's get a temperature check on this. We got closer to Elimination Chamber. We were kicking ideas around, myself and Triple H, and Triple H said, you know, what about this? What about John turning? I said, I love it. I love it. The next question is, you got to talk to John, see how he feels about it. And so when we were moving forward with John, And this idea of him getting crowned at WrestleMania, and becoming 17 and turning heel, and then being a heel champion. I knew then the best thing for the final boss, we've established this idea of Cody's soul. We can always come back to it. I did feel, and I made the call, I don't want to be involved in that. Step back. Let the final boss step back into the shadows. Let all the spotlight go to John. Let it go to Cody. Let's not make it about Cody's soul eventually or John's soul. No, let's let them do what they do. And I called John after Elimination Chamber, spoke to him, called Cody, and I said, I think the final boss's work is done. I said, this is amazing. We have 6 weeks. Now, let's build. You guys go and crush it, and I'll be right there with you, and I'm always here if you need me, but I think it's best for the final boss not to be involved in that finish. You guys go. So they had 6 weeks to plan for that.
God, I cannot believe that I'm saying this, but we might all owe Dave Meltzer an apology. He may have gotten something right. As schizo, rambly, and non-linear as Dave's stream of consciousness delivery is, I believe he likely nailed what was happening behind the scenes. This angle was art imitating life to a degree. Dwayne Johnson, legit, when he wasn't going to wrestle, decided to be a part of the WrestleMania build, but wanted to be aligned with Rhodes going heel. Rhodes turned down the idea, and they went to John Cena as the second choice. I had figured Punk was going to get the slot, but we were told it never came down to him, as Cena agreed to do it. Now, what's funny about this is that The Rock's team did damage control at the time to contain this leak. Brian Gewirtz went online, fired up Twitter, and tweeted 0-2 to Meltzer's report, which seemed at the time to make it clear that Dave was making shit up as usual. But as we know, a work rate clock is right twice a day. And The Rock literally just admitted it this week. I believe the truth is somewhere in the middle. Because I believe Triple H always intended to turn John Cena heel this year. Long before The Rock got involved, they were clearly teasing John Cena's heel turn at the end of the Royal Rumble. And I concur with part of Meltzer's report.
Going to show up and say, nope, you don't get my soul, and Rock was just going to go away, and that was going to be it?
He was probably going to cut a promo on Cody in some form.
To build what?
To build
allegedly, he was just disappearing the next day and not doing Mania.
To build the turn that would happen at Mania.
He was going to cut a promo on Cody to build a turn at Mania involving another guy, and he wasn't going to be at Mania.
Well, he probably would have been at Mania for that.
But we just said he wasn't going to be at Mania, and you'd always been told he wasn't going to be at Mania.
Yeah, because the whole thing was thrown together at the last minute.
Okay, this doesn't make any sense.
Here's probably what happened. John Cena was planned to turn heel at WrestleMania, but without The Rock. Babyface versus babyface against Cody Rhodes at first. But they've established the WWE title recently as sort of a Lord of the Rings style plot device that corrupts the soul of wrestlers. You cross-reference that with Punk and Cody's mic battle in January, where they established this fact. Cena would have likely gotten desperate, won the Elimination Chamber match, and pursued number 17, ultimately cheating to win the title at WrestleMania 41. But then, Ari Emanuel went and called The Rock, asked him to be there, and Rock's insertion fucked everything up. Like, first off, Homelander. It's all so tiresome. And on this piece of the story, one of my subscribers, Hellwolf36, recommended to me a video that was titled, Cody Rhodes Fits the Post-Cynical Vibe Shift, where the host Paul broke down why he believed turning Cody Rhodes heel would be a mistake. And then WWE took it down a few days before the Elimination Chamber. That's because they were debating it internally. And The Rock must have seen that video and gotten really, really upset that somebody was being mean about his story. Maybe he could wash it down with some Terramana. TM. And okay, fine. Let's just say sense won out. They didn't turn Cody, and they stayed on the John Cena heel path. All's well, right? Well, no. Not exactly. Because it's not The Rock being a conduit to turn John Cena heel that's even the problem. It was the type of turn they had Cena undergo. John Cena, being the Keno machine that he is, acted the shit out of that turn. He went full soulless Hollywood elite. You saw it. He drained his face completely of his soul on The Rock's command. By the logic of their own storyline that they established with The Rock's presence, they just implied that Cena and Rock were in on it. John Cena, the character, had pre-existing knowledge of The Rock's plans. Maybe he even got John Cena into the chamber without having to qualify. Either way, in the storyline, the final boss was going to have somebody's soul that night. So then, The Rock does this.
And I called John after Elimination Chamber, spoke to him, called Cody, and I said, I think the final boss's work is done. I said, this is amazing. We have 6 weeks. Now, let's build. You guys go and crush it. And I'll be right there with you, and I'm always here if you need me. But I think it's best for the final boss not to be involved in that finish. You guys go. So they had 6 weeks to plan for that. So I love the finish of the match. I would have finessed things a little differently on how they got there, but that's just me creatively. There are a lot of minds in the room.
Your job is finished. Motherfucker, your job has just begun. Crack out the pencil, brother. Go cook. Yeah, go build. Yeah, you with them. They're not gonna cook over, they're not gonna build over there on their own. You need to get your ass in the kitchen until this souffle deflates. Without your supervision, because this was your fucking idea in the first place. Make sure the fucking souffle doesn't explode. But ultimately, as we've seen countless times in the past, The Rock is going to be The Rock. He's going to big league everybody, bully his way into creative input, demolish whatever creative is right in front of him, and walk away like a bitch the second he doesn't get his way. We know this. This is not new. So if you're wondering why I'm not really seething about The Rock right now, I direct you to the story of the scorpion and the frog. The Rock is possibly the most predictable, fragile public figure I have ever seen, wrestling or otherwise. And it's kind of hilarious at this point. Dude's a Keno machine as a wrestler, but my God is he soft. You know who I am a little bit seethy at? Might surprise you. It's Triple H. Because this motherfucker had an entire month to build John Cena's motivation. All he had to do was have John Cena personally acknowledge that he decided to sell out to The Rock specifically. Yes, it's not perfect. And yes, there's still a gaping "where is The Rock" sized hole, but just ignoring it is stupid and bad writing. Yeah, sure, or we could just have a glacial pace for a storyline that really, really needs fucking answers right now. Because it's WrestleMania. This is not NXT Black and Gold. This is not NXT TakeOver. This is WrestleMania. You need to have a fucking answer for the main angle. This is not fans being impatient. This is not everybody being critics. It's your show making no fucking sense, and you coping about it online. So while he's inducting himself into the Hall of Fame, he really should have been more concerned with getting his creative ducks in a row and having the John Cena heel turn make fucking sense.
Every critic that is out there, I wish I could tell people, off being a critic. Be a fan.
You can't have it both ways. He can't be Mr. Wrestling Kubrick, Mr. Cinema, who gets praised when his creative is objectively great, and then he get off scot-free when he fumbles. Because after all, he did decide to have Charlotte Flair and Jey Uso win the Royal Rumbles. As goofy and a lolcow as The Rock has become, I don't think he was behind that. Which brings us to the main event of Night 2. Smoldering, hot take, Triple H was totally behind that finish. And I'll tell you why. We have now entered part 358 of The Rock and Triple H attempting to out-politic each other live on your television screen, and the product is going to suffer because of it. He brought out Travis Scott to interfere on John Cena's behalf and resurrect the feeling in people's eyes that The Rock fucked up his plans. Instead of, getting over it and using the 6 weeks that he had to effectively build and tell a good story. It isn't fair that The Rock does what he does. That's for sure. It's not fair that he blows up creative every 5 minutes. But is it really the best use of your time and creative energy to bring Travis Scott out in a political move to remind the audience of how The Rock fucked your plans up? I'll answer that for ya No, it isn't. Cody winning the Rumble in 2024, this is not. Just tell a fucking story and stop fumbling Cena's heel turn. How do you fuck that up? Seriously. And Triple H's move worked like a charm. Because now, everybody's seething at The Rock. Deservedly so, by the way. And don't get me wrong, I'm not on The Rock's side. Creatively, Triple H's sensibilities are way better than whatever slop The Rock just tends to dump right on his doorstep. I just think it's funny as hell. Because of course The Rock is going to take the bait. He's The Rock. His fragility is legendary. For example, Dave LaGreca of Busted Open crashed out again live on his stream, and The Rock, unable to fucking stand that someone isn't worshiping him, commented a passive-aggressive take your meds post on his Instagram. Hi Dave, the business is a complete work. Always has been, always will be. Every aspect of it, every match, every interview. Just so you know, I'm a babyface. I'm a babyface. I'm a good guy. I'm a really good guy. Love me. Please join me, Cody, Cena, Brian, and the rest of us for our creative discussions so you can expand your perspective. Until then, stop ranting. It's not healthy, my friend. Enjoy the show. P.S. Tell Bubba I have Grand Marnier and hush puppies for all of us. Laughing emojis and a beer emoji. What is it with these people? Seriously. Be a fan. Expand your perspective. Love me. Fuck off. These guys are two sides of the same coin. No, Dwayne, no one's gonna join any of those creative sessions. You know why? We don't need to be in the booking meetings. We just have to watch the fucking show. That's it. Fans owe you nothing. You are all presenting a product, and the fans have every right to criticize what you're putting out. It is your job to react to that reaction, not enter current storylines and demolish them, or use WrestleMania's main event to commit an attempted creative coup. You both being fragile politicians who can't stand not being filleted on air for 2 hours is not a concern that any normal human being ever integrates into their assessment of the fucking show that they are watching. So Rock, Triple H, get a fucking grip and fix the show. But see the side. I do believe that Triple H has gotten more right than he has gotten wrong. So we'll see how this shakes out, Kino Crew. The Raw and SmackDown after Mania were awesome, and Backlash looks exciting, with babyface Randy Orton and a heel John Cena. What a time we're living in. I also plan to make a video analysis of John Cena's heel run thus far, because as bad as how we got there was, there's nobody who controls a room like John Cena. And I can't wait to dive in with you guys about all the little things that John Cena has done thus far to make it as Kino as possible. And what about you, Kino Crew? Will Paul Fumbleack get things back on track? Or will Dwayne the Ad Johnson continue to be an obstacle? Whatever you think, however you feel, just make sure to keep it Kino. 'Cause life is cinema.